did you become the world's biggest sucker?" "I haven't." Had he? The scent of garlic and oregano wafted from the pot. "It's because she's pretty, isn't it?" He prided himself on saying the right thing in delicate circumstances. "Not as pretty as you, honey." "There's no fool like an old fool," she retorted. "I'm not old." Better to protest age than whether or not he'd been unwise. She laughed, opened a can of stewed tomatoes, and dumped it into the pot. "Did this woman pay for the excavator?" "Yes, I have the check for that and the cost of my services." He pulled it out of his shirt pocket and placed it on the table. "She wrote a check?" Cynthia left the stove, came to the table, and examined it. Did you give her a discount?" "No." He had. "Did you pay for flowers?" "Yes, but we get a reduced rate from the florist." "Arthur." Cynthia tapped her foot. "Where is the casket?" "Mrs. Wynne is grief-stricken, and she wanted to pray for his soul in the proper surroundings." "You put him in the chapel? Why would you do that?" Cynthia threw her arms into the air in exaggerated exasperation. "That body's been in the cold, heavy, damp ground for 4 years, and now it's in the warm chapel? You know what could happen." She stomped back to the stove and very, very vigorously whisked the marinara. "It's a magnificent casket, top of the line. You know, when the Wynne family purchased it, we wondered if they felt guilty about leaving him here, or if that kind of coffin was Vietnamese tradition." Cynthia slammed a lid on the sauce. "Anyway, I cleaned the exterior and did repairs on the seals before I would let him in there." "Arthur William Earthman, you didn't let him in there. He's dead. You placed him in there. You could have placed him in the casket viewing room where the carpet isn't new." When she called him by his full name, it was time to distract her. "It's only for one night," he said in his most soothing voice. "Don't use that undertaker tone with me." She stirred pasta into the now boiling water. He got up from the table, strolled over close behind her, and rubbed her bottom. "Nothing excites me as much as watching you cook." "Yeah, well, nothing excites me as much as watching you vacuum." "After dinner, I'll vacuum the living room." "You must be feeling guilty." Her voice was still sharp. "Anything else you want to confess?" "No, I swear, that's everything. Isn't that enough?" "Plenty. Here." She handed him a full bowl of greens and a bottle of dressing. "Toss the salad." She watched him toss, and she sounded more like his Cynthia when she said, "After dinner, when you vacuum, wear a frilly apron, and I'll make you the happiest man on earth." So the distraction worked, as did the frilly apron. And when those disturbing noises from the mortuary woke Arthur out of a sound and well-deserved sleep, he tried to convince himself those sounds were his imagination. Finally, he got up, murmured reassurance to Cynthia's sleepy questions, pulled on his boxers, cursed his ancestor for attaching the family's personal home to a funeral home, called 911, and went to investigate. The noises were definitely coming from the casket display room where Mitch Wynne had been placed prior to his transportation to Wyoming. Arthur wasn't a superstitious man. His business precluded fearing vampires, zombies, or any form of the human body after the soul had departed. So he kept the lights off as he crept through the funeral home, intending to catch the intruders by surprise. He figured it had to be a couple of teenagers on a dare, and he intended to give them a good scare. As he got closer to the chapel, it didn't do his nerves any good to see a faint light coming from under the closed door. It had been open earlier, and hear a low hum, like an electrical appliance. Reaching the casket display room, he slammed open the door, flipped on all the lights, and yelled, "Hey!" and reeled back in horror. The coffin was open. A dark-haired, young and slender woman stood over it, doing something inside. To the body. "What are you doing?" Arthur shouted. Right away he realized something was off.